Again, let's continue our conversation with Senator Colin Bonini, who is also a candidate for governor on the Republican side. Before we get to the campaign, let me talk about the gas tax real quickly. Good idea,
Sure.
bad idea?
Bad idea. You know, first of all, we already raised taxes on.
Doesn't the transportation fund need money?
No, there's plenty of money in there. We just have to, I mean, it's, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars. The bottom line is we've got to pull operations out of there. I mean, the Transportation Trust Fund is designed to patch the roads, build the roads, fix the bridges, you know, those kind of things. And we have diluted that and perverted that, quite frankly, where it's now this sort of slush fund. We pay salaries, benefits, all these other kind of things out of there. We need to make a clean Transportation Trust Fund. And if you have a clean Transportation Trust Fund, it has plenty of revenue.
But specifically the gas tax, the state does need money. A 10-cent tax for 1 year, is that a bad idea?
First of all, I disagree with your premise.
Doesn't need money?
Absolutely not. The Transportation Trust Fund.
So when you hear all this stuff about the budget being short and the Transportation Fund being at a crisis,
don't believe a word of it.
No, we're fine.
We're better than fine. We bring in, I think, Larry, with the exception of maybe Alaska, well, maybe Alaska's down because of the oil revenue, I think we bring in the most revenue per person in the entire country. We're certainly top 5. I have not looked at the numbers this year. So Delaware does not have a revenue problem. Delaware has a spending problem. And before we ask Delawareans to pay even more out of their pocket, whether that's through a gas tax, income tax, whatever that is, we need to get our own financial house in order. And I would argue that the premise that somehow the state needs money is absolutely incorrect. We're the 3rd most expensive per person state government in the country. We bring in, like I said, I think maybe the 1st or 2nd most per person in the entire country. Delawareans don't know that. One of my jobs as governor is to remind people that, you know, this is not a resource problem. This is a management problem. So no, and I think if we make a truly clean Transportation Trust Fund, it'll be tremendously well funded. It would be one of the best funded funds in the country.
There was an article that I talked to you about on the radio
Sure.
that said your campaign's not serious right now.
Right.
That you haven't done all of the things you would do normally to have a serious campaign for governor.
Yeah.
You do have a serious campaign.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, you know, this is politics, right? That stuff's sort of done by the opposition. That's just how it works. I think the answer is I am absolutely running for governor, and I think we can win. And let me tell you, John Carney is a good man. Not just a nice guy, he's a good man and a good guy, and we're very friendly. As you know, John and I are very friendly. But I think Delaware needs to move in a different direction, and I'm going to give Delawareans a true choice.
I will tell you something. I was surprised by a Gallup poll that was done state by state.
Right.
And you see what the registration is. The registration is against you
overwhelmingly.
However, the Gallup poll didn't show that.
I mean, we can't continue to do what we've done. If the answers were we need a bigger, more expensive, more active government, Delaware would be Eden on earth, because we have some of the highest, most expensive, biggest government per capita in literally the entire Western world. And so that's not the answer. The answer here is let's empower Delawareans to chase their dreams. And I think by getting the state government to be partners and less of an obstacle in our economy, we talked briefly about the minimum wage, I think we can do that. And I think we can fix our schools, and I think we can make our streets safer.
I want to get to the national campaign because we're running out of time. Are you endorsing anybody?
No, I'm not at this point. But I got to tell you, and I'm sorry this sounds like the total political answer, and it's not meant to be, I'm impressed with all of them.
That is a totally political answer.
It is. I apologize, but that's the truth. I mean, whether it was Carly who'd run a good thing, or Ben Carson, or even
it sounds like you want them all here campaigning for you.
Yes, well, I do that. Yeah, one of them did, by the way, the gentleman from Virginia, the governor.
So you're not on this anti-Donald Trump bandwagon?
No, I'm not. And you sort of told me this after, and you said it sounds terrible, but this is the truth. I think he can turn into a candidate. I am lots of sort of established.
You realize
Republicans.
How bad that sounds?
I understand.
Because he's supposed to be a candidate now.
I apologize. I should. You're right. I should not say it that way. But I think, first of all, politics is binary, right? So, well, in our system, it's binary, right? Third parties tend not to win, which is, I think, sometimes unfortunate. But the alternative is going to be Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, right? By the way, every Republican should be pulling for Bernie Sanders. But when the alternative is Hillary Clinton, let's just assume that Hillary gets. Which, by the way, I'm not saying that's absolute, but let's say Hillary's the nominee. I think Donald Trump stacks up very well against Hillary Clinton.
Not according to the polls, she
doesn't.
Well,
the polls in March, right?
But the polls in March have Ted Cruz and Kasich and
that's
Rubio
good.
all beating her.
Right, and by the way, I think all those guys would be great. And I.
That's right, you like them all.
I really do like them all.
I believe you.
They're
Thank
smart,
you so much for coming
accomplished
in.
people.
I understand. Senator Colin Bonini, candidate for governor and senator from the 16th district. Coming up next on the Delaware Way, a movement to get homes for homeless vets in Wilmington when we return.